The thermometer hits 120 enough. And if Fahrenheit means nothing to you, hear it like this. 122 degrees is 50 degrees. In Chicago, a city designed for brutal winters, the number feels unnatural, like a mistake that refuses to correct itself. The air is thick enough to seem occupied. Every breath tastes faintly metallic. Asphalt turns glossy, then soft, then subtly deformed, surrendering under tires with a quiet, sticky complaint. Metal railings burn your palm. Even shade feels warmed through, like it's been stored in a dark oven and released only when you step inside it. At first, everyone treats it like weather with an end date. Officials issue advisories. The news repeats the same calm instructions. Hydrate, stay indoors, check on neighbors. Cooling centers open. Stores sell out of fans and bottled water. People tell themselves it will break overnight because nights are supposed to cool things down, because the world is supposed to reset. But in 2026, night doesn't reset. Darkness arrives without relief. The city holds heat the way a body holds fever. Concrete gives back what it absorbed all day. Windows radiate warmth inward. Bedrooms become stuffy chambers where sleep is thin and interrupted. You wake up already sweating, already behind. By late morning, the true crisis begins, not in the sky, but in the walls. You start to notice the electrical hum behind everyday life, the constant exhale of compressors. The grid, usually invisible, becomes a living thing you can sense working too hard. And then, almost everywhere at once, people make the same reasonable choice. They turn on the air conditioning. 1 unit is nothing. 1,000 is a spike. Millions across multiple regions trapped under the same heat dome become synchronization, an accidental coordination so perfect it turns comfort into a weapon pointed at the infrastructure. The first warning isn't darkness, it's the flicker. A brief dimming that makes you question your eyes. A fan's pitch shifts. A refrigerator clicks too often. Somewhere outside, a transformer begins to sing at a deeper, rougher note, like it's swallowing pain. The grid tries to cope. It reroutes. It redistributes. Protective systems do what they were designed to do: isolate problems before they become fires. But the load keeps rising because the heat keeps rising, and because fear is also demand. People don't just want cool air, they want proof they're safe. Then the stutters become gaps. A neighborhood drops for 10 minutes. Another flickers for seconds, returns, then drops again. In high-rises, elevators halt between floors. In offices, the air turns still. In apartments with sealed windows, the temperature climbs fast enough to feel personal, like the room is responding to your panic. The moment the air conditioner goes silent, the shelter becomes a box. People open windows and discover the outside air isn't an escape. It's heavier, wet. It clings to skin and refuses to move. Sweat arrives instantly, your body's ancient emergency system. But sweat is only useful if it evaporates. And evaporation requires air that can still accept moisture. When humidity is high, the atmosphere is already full. Your sweat becomes a slick layer that shines and does nothing. The cooling mechanism fails quietly, like a fuse blowing inside the body. That's when a technical phrase becomes a threat: wet bulb temperature. Wet bulb isn't just how hot it is. It's how survivable the air is to a sweating human being. It's the boundary where heat and humidity combine into a condition your body cannot outwork. Around 95 degrees, wet bulb, about 35 degrees, your body may no longer cool itself effectively, even in shade, even with water, even at rest. Your core temperature begins to rise anyway. Your heart rate climbs because it's trying to push heat outward. Your thoughts get slow, then confused, then strangely distant, as if your mind is backing away from a room that's filling with smoke. The terrifying part is how normal it can look. No flames, no dramatic collapse. Someone sits down for a minute and stops answering. Someone lies in bed because movement feels impossible and the stillness becomes dangerous. Indoors can become worse than outdoors because walls store heat and the air stagnates and the night offers no correction. As the hours pass, the heat wave starts pulling on every connected system at once. Water becomes the next weak link. Treatment plants, pumping stations, and pressure controls all assume electricity is stable. When the grid fails, pressure drops. Some taps sputter, some go silent. Water that does arrive can run warm, unsettlingly warm, because the ground and pipes have been cooking for days. The taste changes. People begin filling anything they can find, not out of hysteria, but because the body understands scarcity before the brain admits it. Outside the city, the damage accelerates. Reservoirs shrink, not only from heavy use, but from raw physics. Evaporation speeds up. Lakes recede by inches that feel like theft. Soil moisture vanishes. The ground cracks. Trees drop leaves early, not as a season, but as defense. This is drought in fast forward, unfolding on a timeline civilization isn't prepared to respect. And drought means food. Fields don't need flames to fail. Corn leaves curl like they're trying to hide from the sky. Fruits blister. Flowers abort before they can become harvest. Livestock suffers because animals have heat limits too, and because water warms, and because shade runs out. The supply chain begins to warp under the same pressure as the grid. Refrigerated storage depends on power. Trucking depends on fuel. Distribution depends on roads and rails that weren't built for sustained extremes. Even when stores remain open, choice is narrow. Shelves look slightly wrong. Prices creep, then jump. Limits appear. The food crisis doesn't begin with emptiness. It begins with absence. Meanwhile, the city's soundtrack changes. Sirens become constant, no longer startling, just present, like insects at dusk. Helicopters thud overhead. Emergency rooms triage not for drama, but for volume. Cooling centers fill beyond capacity, and the people who cannot reach them, because of distance, disability, cost, isolation, become statistics before anyone has a word gentle enough to describe what happened. And beneath all of it is the darkest realization. This isn't simply a bad heat wave. It's a rehearsal for a world where certain days are not meant for human bodies. Where survivability depends not on toughness, but on access. Access to electricity, to water pressure, to shaded space, to functioning infrastructure. Afterward, there will be reports, charts, explanations. Engineers will talk about demand curves and cascading failures. Meteorologists will explain heat domes and stalled patterns. Officials will argue over preparation and upgrades. But none of that captures the real memory. The real memory is the moment the grid went quiet and the room began warming like a sealed car. The moment you realized sweat wasn't saving you. The moment you drank water and still felt thirst because thirst wasn't the problem. Heat was inside you now. The moment you understood that the planet doesn't have to end to make you feel abandoned. Because the future doesn't always arrive as an explosion. Sometimes it arrives as a forecast you ignore, a system you trust, a glass of water you assume will always be there. And then one afternoon, the thermometer reads 122 degrees, 50 degrees, and the world you built for comfort quietly becomes a place you can't safely inhabit.